Welcome to Gene Key 5. My name's Catherine. This is a personal contemplation, and if you haven't already looked at your own Gene Keys profile, you can go to genekeys.com and download a free profile, and potentially you may even have Gene Key 5 in your profile, making this an even more important information download for you. But in any moment, we are all processing through all 64 gene keys, and even though we only have a set few in our profiles, we are all experiencing all gene keys. And you may at some point realize that you are really working with a gene key that may not even be in your profile. So again, just if you haven't already, highly recommend genekeys.com and your free profile, and just looking at your hologenesis and understanding your life's work, your life's purpose, how you best activate prosperity in the world, and many, many other incredibly powerful things. But let's start here and let's look at Gene Key 5. Now, Gene Key 5 has the shadow of impatience, the gift of patience, and the Siddhi of Timelessness. Now, the Siddhi is like a superpower gift, and something that in our lifetime we're cultivating and working towards. And sometimes we can move through shadow, gift, and Siddhi quite fluidly, and other times we may find we're really stuck in the shadow, or luckily more balanced in the gift. But for the most part, I feel that we flow between shadow, gift, and Siddhi, experiencing these ranges of emotions, feelings, and the way that these gene keys affect everything. So the theme of Gene Key 5 is the flow of divine timing and the ability to live harmoniously with the rhythms of life. Now, as I work through this personal contemplation of Gene Key 5, it's very interesting that as I'm recording this, Pisces has just moved into the North Node. Now, Pisces is deeply about flow. And when we're in flow, what that really feels like is timelessness. And it feels like we have all the patience in the world. You know, there's no time constraint. Everything feels expansive, flowing, fluid, easeful. So on top of this Gene Key 5 and this contemplation today, if you're listening to this in 2025, then Pisces is still in the North Node, and you may notice areas of your life where this timelessness has come up a lot. Perhaps in the positive, you feel more expansive, you feel more flow, or it's butting up on that shadow of impatience, and you're noticing the shadow at play in yourself and around you. And that interplay is asking you to move towards patience and towards timelessness. So the theme of this Gene Key 5 is the flow of divine timing and the ability to live harmoniously with the rhythms of life. And just see how that sinks in for you. Are you in flow with divine timing? Or are you feeling impatience to achieve something, experience something, get something, have something? Do you feel like you have the ability to live harmoniously with the actual rhythms of life? Now, I think this is a really generative question in this day and age where many of us don't have time to notice the moon, or we're too tired to see the sunrise, and we've missed the sunset because we're watching a device. So this living with the rhythms of life is over and above what you have to keep a schedule to. it's really looking at the fundamental rhythm of the sunrise, the noonday, the midday, and then the sunset. And obviously in wintertime, in the northern hemisphere, that is very different timing than it is in the summertime. So we're also looking at how we alter the rhythm of the way we eat, perhaps, and the way that we sleep. More sleep in the winter, less in the summer. So these are just questions to look at, and you can journal and you can contemplate, am I living harmoniously with the rhythms of life, the deep rhythms of life? Do I experience patience? And if I have patience, do I experience timelessness? Can I give the gift of patience to myself and others, and the expansion of timelessness? And I'm going to give you an analogy here. I'm a mum, and the thought just crossed my mind to say, if you have a toddler, and children often just don't like to get dressed to leave the house in the morning. It can be challenging to get to school, to get to the appointment. And, putting on shoes or tying shoelaces, and there's a time constraint. You've got to get somewhere. So we're pressing now into a feeling of impatience. We need to leave the house, have to get out the door, and there's impatience because with this time constraint. And that condensing of focused energy is the feeling of impatience. And it's the shadow. We want to hurry something. Why do we want to hurry it? Because we have a perceived time constraint. We don't have timelessness. If we were just going out the door to meet nobody with no time limit, we're not having an appointment, we haven't agreed a time, then there's an expansion, and then comes the feeling of I can bring patience forward because we're not on this tight timeline to get somewhere. However, the quest here would be to know that there is a time constraint, and at the same time watch how the shadow of impatience is flowing through your system, causing contraction and causing discomfort potentially for the child. And we are immediately sucked out of timelessness and out of the rhythm of life. The rhythm of life in this moment is this is what's happening. So in any moment, that's just a brief example, where you're finding impatience, can you watch that and bring patience back to the situation so that you can begin to feel the frequency of timelessness? And I'd say that's very important right now in 2025. This feeling of timelessness is one of the things I've found to de-stress my nervous system immediately. So for example, for those of you who are more able to be more fluid at the weekends, on a Saturday morning there's no work rush or commitment, or potentially child family commitment where you have to be awake and going, to have a patience with yourself, not to set an alarm and not to make any time scheduled appointments until much later in the day, so that you can move into sleep and then wake up expansively in timelessness. That's a golden opportunity to try and explore and experience that, and a gift to give yourself, because it will regulate your nervous system. It will cause a lot of de-stressing and an expansion into calmness and presence, patience, and a sense of timelessness. which is a very healing space to be in. You might find timelessness if you go into a meditation or a hypnosis, and there is no contraction in that space, just expansion and no time. So that's what we're looking to contemplate with this gene key 5. Where is the impatience? When and where do you feel it? How do you bring patience to it? And how do you explore timelessness within the contraction of impatience? Because that is pattern breaking, pattern busting. And in that becomes fluid, divine timing, acceptance, and this harmony with the actual rhythm of what is actually happening. So Gene Key 5 focuses on our relationship with time and the cycles of nature. At its shadow frequency, this impatience is manifesting as a constant frustration with delays and a disconnection from natural life pace. So you can see in those stories I've just given where we are becoming disconnected from this thing that's happening with the child getting dressed, the shoes, trying to leave the house. That contraction is bringing massive frustration and impatience, which is then disconnecting us from the actual moment in front of us, which is actually, if we had the patience, even if there is a time constraint, the beauty of it. I can tell you now, like, my daughter does not need to learn how to tie her shoes, or, she comes and goes. She's much, much older now. But when obviously she was a toddler, if I could take back one of those moments where I was impatient, thinking I need to get somewhere and I don't have time to, keep saying, tie your shoelaces, or let me show you, or if I could take that back and really enjoy watching her slowly putting her shoes on and learning how to tie her shoelaces, I would in a nanosecond. When she was little, I wasn't studying the gene keys, and so many things nowadays for me, since studying the gene keys and my hologenetic profile, have come back with almost like a grief sensation where, if I could turn the clock back and apply what I know now, wow, life would be rich and slow and deep and just wonderful. In the stressful moments would be so much less. So the gift of patience in Gene Key 5 emerges when we trust life's processes, allowing events to unfold in their own time. I want to give you another analogy here. When a woman is pregnant, there is, a 9-month cycle, maybe less, maybe more. In the less, it could be that there's been an emergency delivery. And even in that, we have to trust the process, that events are unfolding in their own time and in their own way. And this is that rhythm again, like the rhythm of a 9-month pregnancy, whether it is shorter or longer or exactly 9 months. We just be patient with what is and what comes. But it can be hard to be patient. It can be very, very easy to drop into impatience and not be with the process, in the rhythm, fully enjoying it. Now, the Siddhi of Timelessness transcends our perception of time. This is one of the biggest things for me. I don't have Gene Key 5 in my profile, but I feel like it is something I'm always working with proactively and trying to almost disseminate as a vibration or a frequency. Because to transcend the perception of time brings profound peace and alignment with universal rhythms. And when the human being, the actual being, the organism, is in alignment with universal rhythms, sunrise, noon, sunset, proper sleep, circadian rhythms, proper eating rhythms, proper exposure to light and not overexposure to electric light, then the human being is in a very optimum, healthy wellness state, which most of us these days, I would say, are not experiencing as much as we have previously in history, or even within our own lifetime. So timelessness is asking you to transcend your schedule. And I say that smiling because so many people are being told to make tight schedules to get that productivity down, to get that sort of false flow in life where the schedule is the flow, but the schedule is locking us into tight timelines, type of intense kind of continuation of driven focus, whereas the human being breathes itself in rhythmical cycles throughout the day. As we wake up in the morning, there is energy and there's activity. As we come to noon, we may want to eat or just rest for a moment or two at least. And as the afternoon progresses, we naturally feel that energy waning as the body comes to rest properly and deeply towards sleep. Now, these rhythms should be timeless, but because we have the clock holding us to when we wake up with an alarm potentially, when we're eating because that's the time slot we've been given because of the job we're in, when we're sleeping because we've finished work late, we've eaten late, we've tied it up, and everything becomes out of sync and out of timelessness. I can guarantee you this: when you go on holiday, the relief, isn't it, of having no time constraint and not really that tight schedule, that is timelessness. And we start to feel better. And on that holiday, we're like, oh my God, how am I going to go back to work and keep to all these times? I got the alarm. And this is an important thing to consider in your life. Where are the days and the moments where you can explore timelessness? And then give that to yourself, and then that disseminates as an energy of peace and calm, and it actually educates others on this universal alignment of rhythmical breathing in and out with our natural flow of energy as a human being. So this Gene Key 5 fundamentally is inviting us to pause, reflect, and attune to the natural cycles within us and around us. It teaches that peace comes when we surrender to the flow, releasing the need for control. So where can you create more flow? What is that pattern for you? And it won't be the same as anybody else's, most likely. The really true, deeply, organically you rhythm. And when you can see that rhythm and have courage to move into applying it in your life, more and more wellness returns. not through diet, not through supplementation, not through exercise. All those things count, but this very, very true natural rhythm that you are here to follow for yourself in alignment to the natural ebb and flow of sun and sunset, so sunrise, sunset, will bring about this deep feeling of not being contained to the clock. And I just want to finish, before we go into an even deeper contemplation and meditation of Gene Key 5, with a very quick story about this contraction of time and how it can take us out of flow state and really adrenalize, I feel, the body, adrenalize the mind, so we're just not in a state of peace or harmony. So I walk every day, and I'm very lucky to live in the middle of a forest that is around me, close by to me. And there are some beautiful trails and tracks that you can follow. And I was coming towards the end of my walk one morning, feeling this deep expansion of timelessness. I hadn't been contemplating Gene Key 5, but I try to walk with no sense of time. So I start my walk, but I try not to make a deadline of time that I have to be back by, to explore that timelessness. And at the end of this walk, I had really entered into a flow state. I was walking, so that's a rhythm. I felt very grounded and connected to the earth, so that's a rhythm. And my breathing was flowing. I wasn't rushing. I didn't have to be back at a set time. My mind was timeless. My body felt timeless. And I felt like an incredible sense of wellness and peace. And joy and happiness. And running towards me were two women who had clearly decided to go on a running journey that morning. And as they ran towards me, one of the women lifted up her watch, and they were obviously in a conversation. She said to the partner she was with, we're on the clock. I set it when we started. We're on the countdown. 90 minutes is running. So whether they were just started or they were just about to end, they had this tight time frame. And that's okay. Obviously, we do sometimes want to time ourselves progressively in exercise. But it was just extremely juxtaposed to where I was at. And I felt this sensation of contraction around this 90 minutes and trying to get something done within it. And I do deeply appreciate that that's useful. Otherwise, we wouldn't have competitive sports. But there was a sensation of this awareness of when it's possible. Take yourself out of those time constraints into timelessness and experience both, but allow timelessness to come into your life as much as you can. So I just would like to bring us into a very gentle contemplation through a meditation. So if it's comfortable for you and safe to do so, you can close your eyes. You don't have to. You may be doing something and just pondering and listening as you go. So as long as you're not driving, we're going to be going into meditation. So just either sitting down, relaxing, and again, if it's safe and comfortable, closing your eyes. And just beginning to settle. And we're going to take in a nice long inhale when you're ready. And a deep exhale when you're ready. So as we know, Gene Key 5 invites us to deeply explore the flow of time, to release impatience, and to embrace the stillness that is revealed in timelessness. So as we just sit with that, we're going to begin working a little bit more deeply with the breath, inhaling slowly, exhaling deeply. Inhaling slowly, exhaling deeply. Now, as you continue to breathe slowly, I'd just like you to imagine that with each breath now, time is slowing down. And with every deep, long exhale, you are releasing the tension of rushing or any impatience in your body. Exhaling, releasing tension, any sense of rushing, any sense of impatience. Good. Now, in this quiet moment, just reflect on any moments where impatience does arise in your life. What are those moments? And as you notice those moments of impatience, just asking yourself, what am I resisting? What am I trying to control? What am I resisting? What am I trying to control? Now just simply visualize the sensation of impatience in your body as a tight knot. And you'll know where that feeling sits. And when you've located it, with each breath now, as you exhale, see this knot loosening, melting into a calm, flowing stream that feels peaceful, detached, and relaxed. let that breath release the knot, loosening it, melting all that tension into a flowing stream of release and peace. Just know, just coming into that deep understanding that impatience is simply a signal to realign with life's rhythms. Acknowledge it with compassion and let it dissolve. Reach for patience. Reach for timelessness. Now, just imagine yourself standing by a vast river. See the river for a moment in your mind's eye, perhaps a river you know. This river flows effortlessly, carrying everything in its path at the perfect pace. Just visualize your life as part of this river, trusting that everything is moving exactly as it should. And just saying to yourself quietly or silently, I trust the divine timing of my life. I trust the divine timing of my life. And just feel the peace of this surrender and let your body relax deeper into this stillness and sensation of timelessness. You can really begin to allow time to disappear now. And in this stillness, imagining yourself in a state of infinite presence, where the past and future dissolve, leaving only the eternal now. Feel the expansiveness of this moment. Free of worry or need. Now, as you slowly bring your awareness back to your breath, contemplate how living in alignment with patience can shift your experience of our world. And consider the possibility of a life filled with trust, peace, and hope. And now just set an intention deep in your heart space to flow with life's timing. Universal rhythm and flow. just taking with you now this gentle mantra. I am timeless. I trust the rhythm of life, and I flow with divine timing. I am timeless. I trust the rhythm of life, and I flow with divine timing. And now softly, in your own time, reopening your eyes. If they've been closed, just gently aware of your space, feeling softer, your mind feeling calmer, noticing the expansion and sensation of timelessness. Also note here really deep sensation here of trust. Noticing how you can embrace patience and then open pathways to a future of ease and divine alignment. I want to wish you well on your contemplation of Gene Key 5, and I hope this has helped. Even if you don't have Gene Key 5 in your profile, it is still relevant and very useful to explore impatience, patience, and timelessness. I hope to see you again soon.